Alright, yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Weez back with another Sparking Zero video. So in today's video, I'm just gonna be explaining to you guys what I've learned from this update. The shallow update. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, for starters, what I've learned from this patch is that characters actually don't do the same amount of damage. So at first, I thought it was the case because the way they explain it in the patch notes, I thought that when they said that the characters, they like I thought like I just thought they would do the same damage, but that's just not the case at all. Like if I go from base to Super Saiyan, I do more damage. Like it's not as big as it was before the patch, but I still actually do more damage, right? Like right here, I did 10k. I think with base, I think I did like 9k or less, if I'm not mistaken. But if I'm like, for instance, right here, I go to Super Saiyan Blue, or no, Super Saiyan God, I'll still do more damage than I was in Super Saiyan, right? Like the damage is nowhere near as big. Like the damage gap is not as big, of course, but there's still a slight damage increase, right? And if I go Super Saiyan Blue, it becomes just ridiculous, right? Like if I go with Kaioken, it's basically like it's almost like, if I'm not mistaken, I did like 13k damage, so that's a lot. So transforming is actually not obsolete. It's not useless, right? Right here, I did 11k damage. Now watch with Kaioken how much damage I'll do, right? So right here, I think I did like 13k, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, yeah, almost. So yeah, transforming is actually useful. The higher your character DP is, right? You still have more. You still have more advantage. So it's like if I'm using a character let's say I'm using Videl, or I'm using I don't know, I'm using mid Goku, for instance, right? If I'm finding a Super Saiyan Blue player, I'll still be at a disadvantage. So a lot of people, I've seen a lot of comments on other people's channels that they said that the game doesn't feel like the anime no more. Like it doesn't feel like Dragon Ball no more because all the characters, they do the same amount of damage. But that's just not the case. Like if I'm using a base Goku and I'm fighting a player that's using Super Saiyan Blue Goku, for instance, right? I'll still be at a disadvantage because Super Saiyan Blue still does more damage. Like it's not as OP as before, but he still does more damage. Also, this is just my opinion, right? But I don't think damage is what makes a character, right? I think that there's much more to a character than just his damage, right? You got his skill moves, you got his skill, you got what he has, like his skill points, his move sets. There's just much more than just damage. Like if I'm going from base and I go to Super Saiyan, right? But if I go from base to Super Saiyan, right? There's gonna be a massive difference in how I play, right? Like if you guys, if I'm fighting you in base and I go Super Saiyan, right? Like I'm gonna be a completely different player. The reason why is not because of the damage, it's just because Super Saiyan Goku has just much better movesets. He has flying kicks at first, he has rolling hammer, and these stuff also makes a character, right? He has wild sense. These stuff makes a character, not just damage. And I feel like it's pretty unfortunate that people, the only it's like for them, for a character to feel strong is just the damage, but there's just much more to a character than just damage, in my opinion, right? I realize that damage isn't everything. Like for instance, MUI, right? MUI doesn't do the highest damage, but why is he the best character in the game? That's a perfect example. But anyways, one thing I've also realized that, and a lot of people, like, I think they forgot, is that the higher your DP, like the higher your character is, right? Like the higher his DP is, right? The more follow-ups you have. And people, like a lot of people, they're sleeping on follow-up damage. But when you're using a character that has like 5 follow-ups, right? You do much more damage than a character that has 2 follow-ups. For instance, right here, I'm using Super Saiyan Goku, right? From Super, right? Super Saiyan Goku from Super, he has 2 follow-ups, and and that's basically it, right? That's basically 7k damage. But if I'm using Super Saiyan Blue, right? I basically do 1k follow-up damage. So that's a lot of damage, right? And right, like right here, I'm gonna show you guys. So right here, see, I got 1 more follow-up. Like, see, I basically did 10k follow-up damage. That's a lot, right? And that's not with Kaioken. Kaioken, I think it's like way more. I think it's like 11k if I'm not mistaken. So, and also where you haven't talked about character supers. Like right here, like I'm gonna use Super Saiyan Goku supers, and you'll see, like, bro. And I'll use Super Saiyan Blue, and you see the damage difference between both. That's also one more reason why, like, transforming is actually worth it. Like right here, I had 9k or almost 10k. Now I'll use it the super with Super Saiyan Blue and Kaioken. You see the damage, like you see the damage difference. So yeah, with normal Super Saiyan Blue is like 10k damage. Now look at what Kaioken, the amount of damage I'm going to do. Look at this. 14k damage. Yo, this right here just, bro, yeah. I have no words. But yeah, that just shows that, characters aren't, it's like, the game is, I could say it's more balanced, but there's still character difference. There's still stronger characters, you know what I mean? So like right here with MUI, I did 10k damage off follow-ups. Like I would never do that with Super Saiyan Goku or base, or I would never do that with a weaker character. That you could only do that with like 9 or 10 plus DP characters, bro. Like transforming, there's still a reason to transform. Like I said, for starters, characters, they don't do the same amount of damage. Like if you like, the higher the DP of your character is, the more damage you do. Yes, the damage has significantly decreased, but he still, like, the character still do more damage than the weaker ones. Also, what I've learned from this recent patch is actually, it's actually better to start in base, right? Let's say if I'm using a character like UI Sign, like if I'm using a character like UI, right, it will actually be better to start with UI Sign, like the weaker version, and start with and with the stronger one, simply because when you transform, you actually gain health. So it's like if I'm using UI Sign, right, I'll start with 3 health bars, but if I start with MUI, I'll also start with 3 health bars, right? But it's like if I transform, I'll gain health from it, so that makes people forced to actually, like a lot of people, they say that this game after this patch, it doesn't feel like Dragon Ball, but if anything, it feels more like Dragon Ball now, because players, like, it will make players actually start in base, right? If you guys understand what I mean, it's like now players are not just gonna start with their strongest form. So that's also one of the main reasons why, like, I feel like this update is actually not, it's really good for me. That's really good. It makes, I don't know for you guys, but it made the game feel more Dragon Ball for me, because like I said, you actually gain something from transforming, like before there was nothing, before there was actually no reason for you to transform. Like, it's like if you started with MU, if you like, if you had UI, you just start with MUI, right? There's no reason for you to go from UI Sign to MUI, because why should you? Because if you start with MUI, you already have the extra health, but now there's actually a reason, right? Same goes with Jiren, same goes with Gohan, like all these characters, right? There's actually a reason to start in base. So that's one of the main reasons why, like I said, like, if anything, this game feels more like Dragon Ball, because now it's like when you transform, you actually gain stuff from it, And the unfortunate thing about it is that I feel like, I'm kind of disappointed, simply because it's not that for every character. Like I made a video like a couple of months ago that I wish that all the characters, when they transform, they gain something, like health, ki, like I really hate the fact that when I like Goku's my main, I really didn't like the fact that when I was using Super Goku, where I would transform, I would gain no ki, no health. But I'm kind of happy that there are some characters that it is like that. So for instance, going from base, go on to ultimate, go on, you gain health, and I'm really happy. I really hope that Bandai, they do more with other characters. I feel like that will make the game feel way more like Dragon. But yeah, that was really the main thing that I wanted to talk about, and the main thing I've learned. This was really the main focus on with the update, right? Because that's literally that's one of the main thing that the community is talking about, is the damage scaling, whether or not the developers did a right choice of doing that or not. I personally think they did. Like I showed you guys, the damage scaling isn't completely gone. You still do more damage if you're using a higher DP character. It's just not going to be as strong as before, which it's totally understandable. Like, especially in DP battles, is literally like that. And like if you're playing DP battles, like like if you really want to feel that strength, that damage difference, you could just go in DP battles. Is literally, it's basically just like it usually was, just even better. I think that I saw a video recently, like just this morning actually. It was a YouTuber, that was showcasing like the damage of 10 DP characters and DP, right? And I was seeing Gogeta doing like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta doing 20k damage. So yeah, that's pretty insane. But yeah, let me hear your thoughts in the comments. I'll read it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm out. Peace.